Good morning. My name is Bill Hurley. I'm the Chief Technology Officer. Been with Westcon for 5 years now. We have, really, the CTO has two jobs. They're responsible for, I'm responsible for looking at the IT that runs the organization. So Westcon, as Dave mentioned, we're roughly about a $4 billion firm. We have offices in about 77 different countries. We have about 3,500 employees. And I'm, as an IT director, I'm responsible for providing all the IT services to that organization. So as I look out into this audience, you should be looking at me as one of your customers. I'm just a regular old IT director. I have all the good, the bad, and the ugly associated with managing a complex global organization. The other part of my job as CTO is to work with the management teams around the world in understanding what's going on in the tech space, what is happening in the channel, and how do we work together with our customers and our vendor partners to make the most profitable decisions and move into the most profitable areas of technology in order to help our IT, our end user customers succeed, as well as all of the components of the channel. So it's a very heavy tech job, as you can imagine, and so why don't we get into it? We're going to talk a little bit about technology today. I'm going to talk about, it does feel like you can't talk about, get anyone together without talking about the cloud, so we'll do an obligatory conversation about the cloud, but I want to take it in a little bit of a different direction. And then we'll talk about bring your own device, a little bit on big data, and a little bit on software-defined networks. Really, the key thing here that I want to get through as we're talking is there's a lot going on in the IT space. Dave alluded to it a little bit, but as we're going through it and using the concept of imagine as we're talking, I want you to put yourself in an IT director's shoes and think about it in the terms of how do I make things simpler. There's so much going on that we're going to talk about here, and the ability for us to deliver on a simpler equation for IT managers around the world is going to be really one of the components when I think of imagine. That's what I'm trying to imagine. As an IT director, I'm always dreaming about simplicity. When we talk about the cloud, I don't really want to get into the $5 per seat per month for email or $2 per 100 gigabytes of storage per month. Those are the cloud services that are out there, and that's all well and good, and that's an important part of what we're all seeing in the industry. What we really want to talk about as we talk with customers around the world, the cloud is all about, or where we're going to make the money in the cloud is all about the services wrapped around delivering the cloud as a component of the portfolio for the IT director. How those services how that cloud service is integrated into the organization is really what the IT director cares about. Frankly, if you sit them down over a beer, they don't really care about whether it's $5 a seat per month from this cloud service provider or that cloud service provider. It's important in terms of recognition, SLAs, legitimacy of that cloud service provider. But what keeps the IT director up at night is how am I going to integrate it? How am I going to successfully integrate that cloud service with everything else that's going on in my enterprise today? I've got one slide here to talk a little bit about that in terms of, and I apologize if there's some folks in the back who can't see it. I'll see if I can highlight some of the components here. But this talks about what are the major issues from an IT director's perspective. What are the major services that they are looking for? And really what they're looking for is integration. How do I integrate the cloud service with what else I have inside my organization, my enterprise today? How do I deploy it? How do I implement this solution? What's the rollout plan? What's the data conversion requirements associated with being able to deliver a cloud service? I need to pilot this service. I want to understand how is this service going to work within my organization. Does it really work? Does it meet the SLAs? Am I going to meet the expectations and the ROI I have associated with the cloud? Remember, the cloud's all about driving down my costs. It's all about getting me from a CapEx model to an OpEx model. I'm able to manage my costs much more efficiently in an OpEx world as an IT director. And so the ability for you to deliver on and give me the sense of how this cloud service is going to work in terms of a pilot is critically important in order for me to succeed in utilizing cloud within my organization. And then what are the development services that you can give me as a channel partner, as my trusted partner? What are the services you can give me in order for me to be able to ensure I deliver the value that I expect to deliver from my organization relative to the cloud. There's a number of others in here in terms of how you negotiate with the with the cloud provider, et cetera. But the point here, and really I had it on the prior page, your role as the partner to the IT director, as the reseller, as the service provider, you have the trusted advisor role that cloud service provider does not have. And so it is incumbent upon you. It's your opportunity, but it is also your responsibility to work with that IT director to help them understand what it's going to take to be successful in the cloud. They're going to trust you because you are their trusted partner. It's a huge opportunity for everybody in this room. Okay, that's beginning and the end of my cloud conversation. I wanted to switch a little bit for a few minutes to talk about bring your own device. And we're going to talk about bring your own device in terms of really two areas. Bring your own device is as an IT director, it's a nightmare. There's just no other way around it. It's wonderful. All these people are bringing in 3 times more devices into the organization. But managing and securing it is a nightmare. And really, when we talk about managing and securing it, we're trying to do this against 3 areas. 1, the network. I've got to protect my network. I can't have my network crashing because all of a sudden I've got 3 times more IP devices hitting it than maybe even a year ago. 2, I need to manage this device. I need to, well, not this device. This is from the 1960s. Manage this. No offense, whoever gave it to me. I need to manage this device in terms of how it's going to impact the organization and protect it itself, but also protect the organization if this device gets hacked into, broken into, or lost. And then lastly, I need to protect the enterprise itself in terms of what the information is that's being put on those devices, where that information is going, data loss protection, et cetera. I'm going to talk about 2 specific components within BYOD, and I'm going to try and give you as many acronyms as possible, so hang on. But 2 more, if you're not familiar with. 1 is MDM, which is mobile device management. This is about how I manage the device itself. And then IPAM, which is about IP address management. I have access management here. That's a typo. It's IP address management. It's how do I manage the IP devices that are hitting my network as an organization. MDM, mobile device management, one of the hottest areas around the world when we talk with anyone in IT, especially in the networking and the security spaces. This is the #1 thing they talk about. As you will see, on the left-hand side, there's a number of vendors that have come into play that have really kind of jumped into the market here. One way to reflect upon this is to think about it this way. Anyone from BlackBerry or RIM in the room? If BlackBerry or RIM had held on to that market, as an IT director, I loved the BES server. It was the greatest thing in the world. It just managed everything for me. If they had held on to that market, a lot of these guys wouldn't even be here. Right? Apple's and the Samsungs, Androids of the world came in and disrupted what was a very nice little paradise for IT directors called the BES server. The advent of Apple and the advent of Android has disrupted IT's ability to manage the device and ensure that, and I now actually have to think about it. I actually have to think about how I'm going to manage that device. And so I've got to go out and I've got to find partners that are going to do that for me. And so there's 2 delivery methods for doing this. The 2 delivery methods, one is in-house within the enterprise. It's either a hardware-based solution or a software-based solution. And then the other delivery method is via the cloud. But what we're trying to do is really protect that device along 3 dimensions. First is relative to the security itself. How am I applying my corporation's policies and procedures inside that device from a security perspective? Second is the actual network services that this device will either attach itself to or create. Remember, some of these devices now can create their own little Wi-Fi networks. How do I allow for that to be performed within that device that's coming into my enterprise? Third is around the software. How do I manage the software that can be on that device? And fourth is around the hardware. How do I manage the hardware that's on that device? On the other side is the network. How do I protect the network? And really what we're talking about here is how do I protect the network in a way that's easy for onboarding of new devices. For those of you who are not familiar with IPAM, IPAM has been around for a while in the areas of DNS and DHCP. And so it's been managing at the server level and other IP address level what goes on in the network. But IPAM has taken on a new life relative to BYOD. And it's becoming a real time saver for IT directors in bringing on those devices, being able to onboard devices through a self-service process. It makes it a lot easier for these devices to come on board and be managed from a network perspective. It allows for auditing and control, so I can say, Bill Hurley can have 3 devices, Dave Rosenberg can have 5 devices. I need to throttle that down to 4 because the bandwidth is just taking up too much on my existing infrastructure. So it's got a great protective mechanism in it as well. What we're seeing, though, as I just went through it, and maybe you started to get a feel for it, is you've got MDM on the device side, and you've got IPAM on the other side, and you know, these things should be talking to each other. These things should be integrated. This should be simpler for me. It should be easy for me to do this and deploy this. Why do I have to have all these other vendors in my organization, and now I've got to spend the time doing the development work to integrate those? And so what we as distribution are realizing is we are the final assembly point. We are the place where for many, many of our customers, our resellers and service providers who do not have the financial wherewithal to put together multiple vendor solutions into an integrated offering, the final assembly point becomes distribution. And so Westcon has started to do that with BYOD, where we've actually taken multiple products from vendors and we've integrated them on working with them specifically customized for our customers. So these are the types of solutions that are specifically designed to help you help the IT manager who is looking to put in simpler solutions. And we're going to see more and more of these as we go forward, where distribution becomes that final assembly point of multiple components, both hardware, software, and cloud services. And the last part here is the ability to wrap these solutions with services that help you as you try to deploy these into the organization. So a little bit about what BYOD Shield is, which is a branded Westcon name, branded only to you, not to the end user. But more importantly is really about the concept that distribution is bringing together hardware, software, cloud services, and wrapping a service and support infrastructure around that. How many people here know what that is a picture of? Google Glass. So when I say Google Glass, so the point here is, are you familiar with Google Glass? So if I had Google Glass on right now, although I wouldn't be able to, it wouldn't work too well with the lights, but if I had it on right now, if your face has ever been on the internet, I would immediately be able to look at you and know who you are. It would flash on my screen right in the corner of my eye here, a little computer screen that I would be able to see. It's basically Google at whatever you're looking at. So if I'm looking at you, I would know who you are, your name, etc. I'm recording everything I see. I'm able to look at a train station and get the maps of what that train route is, what the timing is, etc. This is BYOD 2.0. Many of you may be thinking, all right, BYOD, blah, 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 another buzzword. Well, the key thing here is today you've got these devices that we know as smartphones and tablets that are coming into the organization. Google Glass is out. It's out in a pilot program, and it'll be publicly available at the end of the year. This device not only allows for me to consume information by looking at you and being able to look at a train station. I'm able to understand what's going on, or I'm able to get train routes, etc. As I said, I'm also able to produce information, massive amounts of information. From a security perspective, this has got serious security concerns for an enterprise. From a privacy perspective, we already know in the States that there are bars and pubs that already have signs that says Google Glass not allowed in this bar. You're in a bar and you see some guy wearing glasses and he's recording everything that's going on. You may not want him taping you as you take another shot of tequila. But the point here is that this is real. It's coming. As an IT director in a logistics facility, I love having Google Glass because I no longer have to have guys in the warehouse scanning with a scan bar, all the boxes coming in. They could just look at the box. It instantly tells them on their glasses what bin that goes in. It registers that the box has been received. So there's huge business benefits for it, but there's also huge challenges and opportunities. This is all about what BYOD is as we move forward. And it leads to the other implication, which is big data. Google Glass will generate massive amounts of data. It will consume massive amounts of data, but it will generate massive amounts of data as all of the information that I see is being posted instantly into the internet for other use and other consumption. So that leads to, we talk a little bit about the Internet of Everything. Everything's got IP information associated with it. Everything has got sensors in it, and that now is generating information. You've got human beings walking around recording everything that they're seeing. This is a massive influx that's generally known as big data. And when we talk about big data, what the formal definition is the ability for us to take structured data from your customer databases, name and address, 32 characters long, and merge it with data that's being generated from these IP devices or through social networks. So merging it with Twitter feeds, with Facebook feeds, but also merging it with what's coming out of my Google Glass readouts or video that's been posted or pictures, et cetera, into the internet, and be able to take that information and make some intelligent decisions based on it. Predictive analytics, these types of detailed data scientists are going to be needed as we go forward to take this data, consume it, and be able to understand what does it mean for my business. How do I use it from a marketing perspective? How do I use it from a logistics perspective? How do I use it from an operations perspective? I'm not even going to go through all this. There's more data being generated. We all know there's a tremendous amounts of data. There's pages and pages of really cool statistics. I'm not really going to go through those right now, but the point is that in terms of our ability to use big data as a business, it's a tremendous opportunity for the people in this room. Twofold. One, tremendous opportunity from a hardware and software perspective. Now, I just talked about how we're moving from hardware to software to services, CapEx to OpEx. But relative to big data, IT managers are really faced with how do I deal with and get ready for all the problems that big data is going to present for me, because I've got a chief marketing officer and a chief operating officer and a chief financial officer saying, I want to analyze this data. I want to analyze it now. I don't want to wait a month. I want to understand what's going on inside the data that is being generated from our customers and from our prospects. And so this literally came from a CIO survey from late last year in which they recognized these CIOs. It was about 150 global CIOs run by Barclays Bank. They recognized that big data problems was the single biggest concern for them in 2013. Big data is a hardware and software opportunity for us. You need to have these new solutions, these integrated solutions, in order to be able to consume and analyze the data. There's new software with technologies such as Hadoop or SAP's HANA, and you want to be able to provide part two of the big data opportunity, which is the services associated with how you deploy big data and how you analyze big data. So within our community, the opportunities for big data are significant. They are going to be continued to move forward for us, and we will be able to provide value in terms of the hardware and the software and the services, again, associated with helping companies consume this information. Okay, I want to take a little bit of a turn, right? So we went through the cloud, talked about services, we talked about BYOD, and we talked about mobile device management around IPAM and how you integrate those and make things simpler for the IT director, and we talked a little bit about crazy things like Google Glass. I shouldn't say crazy, important things like Google Glass and how they're going to change the way we go about our business in the future. Now I want to talk about software-defined networks. A couple of years ago, we all sat around and thought that the most overhyped technology we ever heard of was the cloud. This is the next one. You're going to be talking and hearing about this until you're sick. And it's significant. It's very real. It's going to take time to get here. So we all have to realize that the hype will far surpass the reality, but that does not mean you should dismiss it. Do not dismiss the impact and the opportunity associated with SDN. It would be like dismissing the impact of server virtualization. Server virtualization was the grease that oiled the cloud. SDN is going to have that substantial an impact on the IT industry. When we talk about SDN, what are we talking about? We're talking about taking routers and switches, which are made up of two parts, a control plane and a data plane. In the simplest of terms, the control plane is the brains that says, all right, I want to take this packet from here, I want to move it over here. I want to take this packet from here, and I want to move it over here. And I want to do it at this priority level with this QoS, at this speed, etc. Great. For 100 years, it's been in the same box. Not 100 years, but for a long time, it's been in the same box, and it worked very nicely for us. Now with SDN, you can decouple that brain and put it on a standard server sitting in the data center, and it can talk to multiple data planes across multiple vendors. As an IT director, this is a dream come true. My applications can now talk to the SDN controller, and I've got more control over how my data is flowing inside my network than I ever had before. It's a dream. It's also a disruptor. How we go about being able to manage this and deliver against this in the new environment is going to be a significant opportunity for the folks in this room. Again, we're going from hardware to software, software to services. That's exactly what's happening here. We're going from the traditional hardware router and switch to a more software-defined network, and that requires a lot more services. Integration services, software integration services and APIs, both going up and down between the application and the network, and between the network, between the brains of the network and the actual data plane. There's also control that has to be done there as well. The point here is there's a tremendous amount of hype coming, but do not dismiss the reality of this technology, because it is very real as opposed to the hype. So in summary, what have we been talking about here for the last few minutes? Hopefully you get a grasp of the themes that I've been trying to relay, which are around services. There's loyalty and opportunity between you and your customer around the services associated with the delivery of technology. Not the delivery of the technology, but it's the services associated with making that technology stick within that enterprise. That's where we see the bigger opportunity. Everything is becoming IP enabled, whether it's your Google Glass or sensors inside of an engine on a Boeing jet. And then lastly, the software orientation of what we're building and what we're deploying from an IT space today is going to continue to move forward. And so organizations that have been heavily hardware-based now must make the change and look at what types of services can I deploy and or wrap into my traditional hardware offerings, and what type of software do I need to know about, whether it's I'm doing the actual development work or I'm partnering with organizations to do that integration. It's going to become more and more important to be able to do that. With that, I would like to say thank you for your time. I appreciate you allowing me to stand and talk to you for a few minutes today, and I'll be here all day and happy to chat some more anytime throughout the day.